Burns don't have faith in anything.
If I were the Avs, I'd defend Robert Thomas.
Going on, everyone? Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche Pregame show live from the Toyota Lounge. Got Rudo, we got Bailey here. One of us might look a little bit different today.
98% of me here today, I think.
Coming at you ahead of the Avs Blues game here tonight. A rematch of sorts.
Yep.
Maybe a bit of a revenge game for the Colorado Avalanche here tonight.
I certainly hope so. Avs have been pretty consistent about showing up and playing well for these types of games for the second game back after they maybe drop a game that they shouldn't have. I don't know if you really want to call it that or whatever, but I am expecting a better game out of Colorado today.
Yeah. It's got to be a better one, and that starts with some of the reinforcements.
Yep.
That the guys are bringing back in. Want to go ahead and check in with our common spirit injury report. Looks a little shorter from last game. Nicolas and Valeri Nichushkin did skate with the team at morning skate. Valeri Nichushkin in a burgundy Power Play 2 jersey, which means the Avs, for the first time since the trade deadline, have all of their forwards
finally
at their disposal. It's been a while. Cale Makar, for what it's worth mentioning, Coach Bednar did say he'd miss a couple more games. Still has faith that he will be able to play before the playoffs start, before the regular season ends. But with that said, Valeri Nichushkin, Nicolas in, Bardakov, and Yoel Kiviranta out.
Yeah. No real excuses for the Avs forward core in this one. You could make excuses if you wanted to, whether it be the guys missing, the Segababa, the whatever, last game against St. Louis. But you have your full forward core. That means Kadri's going to be playing center on your third line. That means your top six is complete. That means realistically, this is your forward lineup game one of the playoffs.
Yeah. No, you really have your full, I don't know, I guess personnel in order to experiment. Yep. A little bit. And I know Bednar, ahead of Dallas, was very against doing a lot of that, wanted to do his experimenting at practice. But I do think this gives him a full opportunity in a game like this to really see what works. Like, of course, we can speculate all we want, but...
and we will.
We absolutely will. But in a game like this, it's really nice that you have all of your options, all of your cards laid out on your table to be able to play around with things like that. If, Kadri's, he wants to keep him at 3C, or for some reason he likes him up in the top six, you have the ability to play around with that as long as all of your forwards stay healthy.
Yeah, and I think when you look at this last stretch of hockey too, it's just, what are you looking at that you want more out of from the Avs? You want their middle six maybe to produce a little bit more. And now they have to. With Nick Waugh back in the lineup, with Val back in the lineup, you are getting the best versions of those lines, assuming he doesn't hit the blender button. And you have to see that production start to come off of their sticks. Now, there's some give and take there. The second line was on the ice for the Brent Burns goal the other day, and they did do some good work on it. But you need those forwards to be producing for you directly when it comes to scoring goals. And I think in particular, I know the second line has gotten a lot of like, hey, you want to see them produce more from the chat, from us, from the Avsosphere in general. I think they've sneakily produced okay. It's just the actual goal scoring that hasn't really been there. So you'd like to see them put the pucks in the back of the net. With this new third line, I think they just need to start giving you anything at 5-on-5. Kadri has been very, very good, but most of his production has come on the power play for the Avs since joining the team. Granted, that third line has been in flux of Nick Waugh out of the lineup, other guys moving up and down. Parker Kelly, really most of his production has come from when he's playing on the fourth line, not the third line. So with that Colton, Waugh, Kadri third line, I think that's the one I'm really looking at tonight as, hey, get it going.
Yeah, no, they need as much 5-on-5 production as they can get. It's something Bednar's talked about extensively, is needing more spark. It's why you see Parker Kelly get bumped up the way that he does and elevated the way that he did, because a lot of that has to do with that offensive production, him hitting that 20-goal mark. But you need something more, and you hope that with Waugh back in the lineup too, that can maybe spark Ross Colton, who almost got on the board the other night, and try to find something there.
You could say that third line needs a little bit of compassion.
Absolutely. Before we get into more, experience the difference compassion makes. Find a Common Spirit location near you and discover a new standard of health and healing by visiting mountain.commonspirit.org. Of course, Common Spirit Health, official healthcare partner of the Denver Broncos. What I also think is interesting, too, is you look into the makeup of these lines.
Yep.
No Yoel Kiviranta. It's what we knew was likely going to happen with a fully healthy forward line, or forward core. But that hurts the penalty kill, obviously, just a little bit. Yeah. But you see a steady guy that Bednar trusts being your 7th forward, or your 13th forward, rather. Sorry.
And I don't think, since LOC has come back into the lineup, sacrificing someone like Kivy to the penalty kill, I think, is a little more palatable. You have enough guys on there, and Nicolas can play there as well. So I don't think the Avs are too worried about that, especially the penalty kill has been great as of late after that kind of downtrend. They've returned to form. So I think they're more than willing to sacrifice maybe a bit on the penalty kill to make them a better lineup at 5-on-5, and et cetera. I do think things will get interesting on how the Avs decide to blend. We know the set lineup is pretty much what it's going to be with Colton and Waugh on that third line with Kadri. But if the Avs want to hit the blender, you have options to put on that third line, whether that's Landeskog, Lehkonen, or even Nichushkin. I think any of them could play and be effective on the third line. The more interesting conversation there becomes, do you want to try Nick Waugh in the top 6? Do you want to put Colton in the top 6 to try and get him going with some better players? I don't have a great answer on which one they should do, but I'll be curious to see which ones Bednar tries.
Yeah. I will say, as far as the penalty kill goes, all eyes are going to be on special teams in general here tonight. So do want to start taking a look into the team cards for tonight's game, starting with the St. Louis Blues.
Not great, Bob.
Yeah, not great at all. Not much change from last game. It's still great in expected goals against. Still horrible in the special teams. With as many penalties as we kind of saw last game too. It's a situation you want to see the Avs take advantage of.
Yeah, I'm not putting much stock in the Avs penalty kill struggling without Cale Makar. That is a guy who completely changes the shape of the way teams penalty kill against the Avs. So it's not something that I'm worried about, but at this point, you're 0 for 6 in your last 6, obviously. If you go 3 or 4 power plays tonight, you got to get one. You don't want to be 0 for 10, even if there is no Cale Makar to help out that power play unit. Your forward core is too good. Yeah. McKinnon, Natchez, Kadri, Nelson is a group that needs to be able to produce with or without Cale Makar on that power play. So it would be nice to get a power play goal in this one, for sure.
On the other side of things, for the Colorado Avalanche, again, one of the best teams in the league, and this card just proves it. Power play, again, still struggling, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But, I mean, we're not really worried about this card changing too much.
Nope. The Avs are who they are. The power play number is probably a little bit deceiving at this point in the year. They've been much better since the trade deadline, certainly even since the Olympic break. Still not elite, but this is a team that does not have a lot of flaws, that does not have a lot of weaknesses. And that doesn't mean they're perfect, as we saw last game against St. Louis. But if you get the A game from the Avs, frankly, a team like St. Louis is going to get blown out.
Yeah. I think you see the Avs playing to what this card defines. Yep. Lots of 1s, lots of 2s, lots of 3s. This is a beatable team, and you can't expect Robert Thomas to pull the ship. entirely again.
Game plan not complicated for the Avs on this one. There is one guy who scored goals against you last game. Stop him, you probably win.
Yeah, not to say that there's not a little bit more firepower, but the Blues are where they are for a reason in the standings.
Yep.
You talked a little bit about it. Obviously, this is a team that the Avs power play should be able to capitalize against.
Should be.
But you still have Cale Makar out of the lineup, and there's, call it coincidence, call it, mindset changes, whatever you might want to. But the power play has looked worse without Cale Makar on that first unit.
Yeah. PKs are content to just let the defenseman stand out there up high and not challenge him at all, which makes a lot less space for the Avs forwards to work with and work through the middle on. And part of this conversation is, please put Sam Alinsky on the power play instead of Devon Toews.
Give him more of an opportunity. That's all I'm asking.
Strictly from a structure standpoint, I at least believe Sam Alinsky might shoot the puck and have a dangerous shot from the blue line. I have zero faith in Devon Toews even thinking about shooting the puck out there. And that means you at least keep the defense honest. If Malinsky is willing to pull the trigger from out high, they at least have to think about challenging that puck or being in the shooting lane instead of the passing lane. And that could open up enough space for someone else, one of the forwards, to make a play or whatever it might be. A little more urgency would be nice, too. I think without Makar up there, you've seen the forward core settle back into a lot of standing around, a lot of waiting for someone else to make a play, a lot of, we throw it to McKinnon or Nichushkin on the half wall, and they try to do something that is unrealistic to make the play happen. You want to see them get back into that, moving their feet, looking to find maybe not the perfect goal, but a good opportunity and letting the shot go.
Yeah.
If they do that, I think they're still perfectly capable of having a quality power play.
Yeah, you have to expect that at that point. And when you look at a last game like the one against St. Louis, you're talking about some of those power play opportunities, meaning the difference between a win and a loss.
Yeah, for sure. The Avs should know as well as anyone how much easier it makes your life when you're able to have effective special teams, especially against these weaker teams that are going to struggle to find success against you at 5-on-5. You can just have a free extra goal, essentially, when your power play is showing up. And maybe more importantly, these power plays start to matter because they are the opportunities for the Avs to play from ahead. And we've seen it. We know the Avs want to get ahead and coast right now. That's where they're at in their season. But you need to do the actual getting ahead part. You can't just coast when it's a tie game and expect to come out with victories. And the power play is the way to do that. You can turn 1-goal leads into 2-goal leads. You can turn tie games into 1-goal leads because the other team is supposed to get scored on sometimes when they give up penalties. And the same goes for the other side. The Avs penalty kill has been great, but if you want to coast, stop burning out your legs by taking penalties and forcing yourself to spend 2 minutes scrambling around penalty killing. Yeah.
Simple as that. Also comes down to stopping goals at the end of the day. That's where I want to head into our goaltending conversation. It is Wedgwood in net for the Colorado Avalanche. The Blues still going with Joel Hofer. Wedgwood, we've had this conversation millions of times by now, but Wedgwood at the end of the day has stopped more pucks in games that matter.
Yeah, the conversation with Wedgwood has kind of shifted from prove it to stay hot. Don't have the give it back game. Keep playing up to this level of ability and prove that you can sustain it. And if you can do that, yeah, man, if he stays that hot, just play him. You don't have to overcomplicate the conversation. Don't have the weak game where now you have to go, all right, well, now he's cooling off, and now we got to get this, that, and other thing. Should we try and get Blackwood hot? Will Wedgwood bounce back, or should we give him time off? Don't make it more complicated than it has to be. Just go stop pucks.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. As far as hot goaltending goes, you got to tip your hat to a guy like Hofer, who managed to stop the Avs as much as he did and played a fantastic game.
Yeah, I do think it's the type of thing that can that guy do it 2 games in a row against the same team? Is that one hot game, or is he actually that good of a goaltender? And if you look at St. Louis's goaltending this year, not that good.
No.
So it's on the Avs to go out and earn the opportunities and beat him, but I don't think that you get the excuse 2 games in a row of your opposing goalie playing great. So go out there and put pucks in the net.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Again, also comes down to managing to stop the other guy on the other side of the ice. As we mentioned, Robert Thomas, the only goal scorer from last game, can't pull the ship 2 games in a row. It, at least statistically, like that's not the exact game we're looking for out of tonight.
Yeah, and you know that St. Louis top line has been like lethal over the last handful of games. Or I think that they have the most points or goals in the NHL over the last 5-6 games or something.
Yeah.
You need a better game from your defense against that line specifically, whether that is the Taves-Malinsky pairing or whether you want to change it up and find ways to match Kulak up against him. Whatever it is, you need to be more rock solid. No more free odd man rushes for their best players. Keep those guys in front of you. You have faith in your depth forward core to beat their depth forward core. It's just their top guys that your defense needs to shut down. And, you know, the Avs top guys actually scoring would also help.
This is true. I'm sitting here looking at stats too. And Dylan Holloway, 19 goals. Jimmy Snuggerud, 17.
Yep.
And then you have a Parker Kelly playing on the 4th line
more goals than those
with
guys.
20 goals. You've got Nazem Kadri at 16, Valeri Nichushkin at 15, Brock Nelson at 33.
Yep.
I mean, it just stacks up so much better, and there's so much more offensive power for this to not be a team that you're outscoring and outscoring heavily.
Yeah. When you look at their lineups, the Avs are better in every facet, right? Their top end is better. Their depth is better. St. Louis has always been a team that has had to score by committee to find success. And you just let them beat you, not scoring by committee, but by one guy. It's not a complicated conversation to say, hey, we can play better against their top guys in our own zone. I really don't think they need to change much offensively other than finish a little better compared to last game against St. Louis. Maybe you'd like a little bit more energy, but again, last game was a Sega Baba, so you expect a little bit more in the legs today from the Avalanche. You expect them to be able to go and skate with or even on top of St. Louis in this game. And you don't even need to play the A game, as much as I would love to see a bopping. If you just play solid hockey, I think the word Bednar used in his presser after last game was commitment to playing the right way. If they do that, they should just win this game.
Yeah. I do almost wonder, too, with the performance that Robert Thomas puts on last game. I mean, you even mentioned it. That's the one guy. You need to stop from scoring goals. You're golden. But how much does that expose maybe some of the potential of the other guys playing along with him?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of hard to gauge exactly where St. Louis is at right now because they're playing all in hockey. If you want to look at it as last game is the best St. Louis can play and they barely squeak it out against a tired Avalanche team, I think there's some truth in that. Unfortunately for them, all the teams ahead of them won in the playoff race. So St. Louis still sitting 5 points out of a playoff spot, but not yet eliminated. So they are still going to be in that playoff mode, all in push to try and get there. And the Avs are going to have to be ready for that, whether it's the Jimmy Snuggeruds alongside Robert Thomas or whether it's a bottom 6 guy for them. Their defense jumps in. Whoever you want to look at, their defense is bad. Don't let them beat you.
Right.
But yeah, even if it's someone down the lineup like a Jake Neighbors or whoever might be there, you know St. Louis is going to come at you with, if not their best game, high energy, trying to push you. So really, if you start the same way you started last game and just be onside, great. We know the Avs are capable of not just skating with a team that is going to have playoff energy, but outskating them.
Yeah.
I really do think, especially when you look at the Dallas game, which they won and they played great in, and I'm not trying to knock that, but it's been a couple games now where the Avs haven't really imposed their will and played the way they want to play against an opponent. So I don't think I would even think that much about St. Louis's lineup. Stay within yourself and play your hockey game, and it doesn't really matter who you're facing.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Playing your game, though. We mentioned a little bit that the second line in particular needs to find a little bit of production at 5-on-5. I think that also applies in a way to the second line as well. Chad already talking about it a little bit. Brock Nelson, it's been a little bit since he's been able to score a goal at 5-on-5. And then you even start to get in the conversation of Valeri Nichushkin and Gabe Landeskog.
Yeah, I think specifically with them, it comes down to scoring efficiency, right? If you have bad nights where you're just getting smothered defensively and you're not generating a lot of grade A opportunities, it is what it is. Those things happen. But we've seen a handful of games now, I think with Brock Nelson in particular, where the high danger chances are there. They're on his stick and he has opportunities to score and he's not finding a way to get the puck into the back of the net. And you need a little bit more consistency there. Yeah, Nelson, of course, had a ridiculous stretch of the season where it felt like he was scoring every night. That's too far the other way, but find the middle ground a little bit to score a little bit more consistently, especially because when you look at the Avs lineup this year, we know who Arturi Lehkonen is. There's always going to be a little bit of lack of finish with that guy when it comes to the high danger opportunities. Landeskog is a little bit hit or miss this year with that, and understandably with he's coming back from the knee injury and then has been injured multiple times. It's been a little bit stop-starty on his ability to get there. When he's playing his best, he absolutely can finish, but at times we've seen that fade in and out. And then the way Nichushkin has played this year, also a little bit inconsistent on the goal scoring. If you want to say, hey, it's Nichushkin that needs to finish and not Nelson, fair enough. But I just think you need to be able to capitalize, get a little bit of that Dallas Stars mindset of you're not going to get a ton of opportunities, so you have to finish the ones that you get.
For Nichushkin, I think, yes, you mentioned Nelson, and I think the way that he's fallen off the wagon a little bit is a little disappointing given the stretch that you saw him on earlier this season. But Nichushkin, in particular, for me, is a guy that I have my eye on because you hear the conversations the last couple of weeks about Bednar not wanting to expend guys too much, not wanting to put them in situations where they're getting more injured or can make their injuries worse. You see him drop back in the line.
Rule number one is don't get hurt right now for Colorado. Right. Absolutely.
If Valeri Nichushkin feels at a point where he cannot get more injured with whatever he was dealing with last game, I feel like the expectation is there that he should look in prime form.
If he's playing, he should be 100%. There's no reason to put him in the lineup otherwise. The Avs have no real urgency to get the 2 points they need. The Avs, we all know the score. Since game one of this year, yes, the Avs had to earn their playoff spot, blah, 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 blah. The real challenge for the Avalanche is the playoffs, and they need to set themselves up for success in the playoffs. That's what it's about, and being as healthy as possible is the way to go. So if Val's 100%, go out there and play like it.
Yeah. As we also kind of mentioned, too, we talked a little bit about needing more out of that third line. Nazem Kadri does drop back down into that third center role today. With him at center, we know the team is deeper. Yep. We know when you've got the 1, 2, 3, 4 of McKinnon, Nelson, Kadri, Drury, this is one of the deepest teams in the NHL. How much are we keeping an eye on, I guess, what Kadri is able to do at 5-on-5 and what he can bring out of from his wingmates?
Yeah, I think it's going to be one that's hard to separate because we're finally going to really see Kadri and Nick Waugh get to play together in the spots in the lineup that they're supposed to be in. So I think you kind of have to look at them as a pair and give them a handful of games to actually see if it clicks and what it all total looks like. But I do think looking at last St. Louis game, you're not loving Kadri on the wing a whole lot.
No.
So it does feel like Kadri's fairly locked into that center position. Now, I do think you can find ways to maybe get him an extra shift here and there if he's going well. If you really are hating him at center for whatever reason, Nick Waugh can play center, so we can balance that out a little bit. But really, even if we do see a blender, I would like to see the Kadri-Waugh pair of forwards together for a couple of games here.
Yeah. Would be nice to see that. Maybe one of them scores today. That's where we'll get into our crystal ball segment of the show. Rudo, give me a score, give me a name. What happens tonight in this game?
I'm feeling way overconfident in this game. I actually feel really good about the Avs in this one. So I'm going to go with a Brazil. We're going to go 7-1.
All right.
On the goal scoring front, I mean, I think we see a lot of goals, but at this point, my objective with goal scoring is getting Nathan MacKinnon the Rocket Trophy. So I'm just going to take MacKinnon.
Feels like an easy answer.
Yeah.
He does it basically every night or almost every night. I think I like that. Maybe this is just me being hopeful. On the goal scorer side of things, would love to see Nichushkin get back onto the board.
Any of those guys that have been a little droughty.
Yeah, and that's not just to say, first game back from quote-unquote injury, missed one game.
Yep.
Just in general, would love to see him get back on the score sheet. I'm also feeling a little more confident about this one. I think not as confident as you are. I don't know if I could stretch myself that thin. 5-3, I think, would be a little more on the reasonable side, though.
Yeah.
I as much as I'd love to see a sellout game from Scott Wedgwood, like we saw in his last performance, I do think, the Avs are fighting it a little bit. And then some of these clinching scenarios, which we'll talk about here in a second, come into play. They tend to kind of maybe drop things just a little bit.
Yes, the Avs and milestone humps always seem to be a thing. The other side of this is, and I know as a unit of 6, their defense was absolutely excellent against Dallas. Cale Makar's still not in the lineup. Your defense is going to have some guys maybe playing above their heads a little bit tonight. If outscoring them is the way you solve that problem, fine by me.
Yeah, I'd certainly, if you can goal score or score goals and get your way to a win, it's the way to do it. I'm pretty sure you've got a win.
I do.
Sitting on your bets, though.
Hopefully have a couple of wins with my pre-game picks presented by Bet365, where winning is everything. My overconfidence probably shines through in my bets a little bit here. I went with the alternate line, took the Avs to cover by 2.5 at plus 290. I did take a Nick Waggle as a guy coming back into the lineup just for fun, plus 650. And I want to see the Avs win the first period. We talked about playing from ahead. It makes your life that much easier. Plus 155 for the Avs to win the first period. If you like my bets, you can follow along with them on Bet365, or you can go over there and make your own bets, whatever it might be, whether it's a same-game parlay or anything else. If you want to get in, there is a scenario where the Avs clinch the President's Trophy today. Yeah. If Carolina loses and the Avs win, it's over.
Yep.
So it could happen if you want to get a bet in on something like that. Whatever you bet on, do with Bet365 and use the DNVR 365 code when you sign up to get $365 in bonus bets. Of course, when you do gamble with Bet365, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER today. Of course, terms and conditions apply when it comes to the bonus bets, and it's void where prohibited.
I do want to dive a little bit more into that clinching scenario because it is a very complicated one. But first, we do have a super chat to get to. Want to make sure we shout this out. $2 from Ryan B1. Always love the love from you, my friend. Important question: did you see the Utah Zamboni? Oh my gosh, what is the name of it?
The woolly mammoth Zamboni.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's the new fan experience over there. I'm obsessed with it. It's great. Yes, I love this thing. The Zamoth. Yes, I'm obsessed with this thing. I love it so much.
I hate fun. You guys don't want my opinion on this, so I'll just stay quiet.
Oh, God. As we kind of wrap things up here, as we mentioned, the Avs have an opportunity to not only clinch the Central Division and Western Conference titles, they can also clinch the President's Trophy tonight.
They can.
A couple different scenarios going into this here. They can clinch the Central Division and Western Conference titles if they defeat the Blues in any fashion.
Yep.
If they get 1 point versus the Blues and the Flames defeat the Stars in any fashion. So we are all Flames fans tonight.
Not a lot of faith there.
Not a whole lot of faith.
Just win, Avs.
Or if the Flames defeat the Stars in regulation.
Yep.
So, really dependent on the Flames playing well tonight. If this clinch occurs, it will lock in a first-round matchup between the Dallas Stars and the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah, interestingly, it's gotten close again. Who knows who's going to have home ice in that series, but I think they've both known they're going to play each other round one for a while now.
Yep. Yeah, so that's makes it a little easier for the Avs going through the first round.
Yep.
With that said, the Avs can also clinch the President's Trophy tonight if they defeat the Blues in regulation and the Bruins defeat the Hurricanes in regulation, or if the Avs defeat the Blues in overtime or shootout and the Bruins defeat the Hurricanes in regulation, and with any result in the Lightning Senators game other than a Lightning regulation win.
Yeah. I think anything's possible, right? The Avs could win out, Carolina could lose out, or the Avs could lose out, Carolina could win out. But realistically, barring unheard of things, the Avs are just going to clinch this stuff pretty shortly here. You'd love for them to just do it now.
Yeah.
You're relying on...
Make your life easier.
The Central Division stuff, certainly. Avs just win, and you've got it. You don't need help from Calgary on that front. If you just win your games, you're done.
Yep.
You need some help from Boston to clinch the President's Trophy today, which would be nice. You'd love to just get that done too, and then you really don't care about the last 5 games of the season. I would not think about it too much. If you're the Avs, you're just trying to go out and beat the St. Louis Blues today. You can worry about that stuff after your game is over and you can scoreboard watch or whatever. But tonight, go win the game you're in, get it done.
Yeah. I don't know. Get your game back. Get back in the win column. We're hopefully going to go watch them do that. We got to watch along on the other side of things here. And then afterwards, win, loss, whatever happens, Rudo and I will be here to break it all down for you guys. Please come join us, and we will see you guys on the other side.
Bald.
We all silly like the mayor.